All right. So what I plan to do on this stream is I wanted to try to build some type of API with like a little UI maybe to download the transcript from a YouTube video and calculate the words per minute of that video. So hopefully it's not too hard to build, but I've been trying to kind of Google around to figure out how to do that. And the first thing that I probably need to do, is I went ahead and I Googled like, how do you download the subtitles of a video using YouTube download? So there's like this library called YouTube-download, and you can use it to download all the subtitles of a video. So I wanted to try that out and see how easy it is to work. Let me go ahead and go to the documentation to make sure I have it like set up and installed correctly. All right, so it says, let me zoom in a little bit. All right, to install it, you have to type in this and then this. Let me see if I even have this installed already. I don't. So let's just go ahead and run this command. I think that'll basically download the, I guess the binary or whatever, and put it in my bin folder. Then let's try allowing my computer to run it. And then let's do YouTube DL and see what happens. All right, so I'm able to run this command now, so I guess it's kind of set up correctly and installed correctly. So I wanted to try out that command they gave us, and I'm going to go ahead and just paste that somewhere in the scratch pad area. And I'm going to replace this YouTube URL with one of my own. So let's just go ahead and go to like my channel. What's up, Akash? Can you explain MVC pattern? I'll probably do bad at explaining it, but MVC is basically model view controller, where you kind of separate your application into different layers. So like the view would be just like a rendering. Let me show you some code real quick. So a good example of model view controller would be you have like a template. And usually this is like more applied to like server-side rendering, like traditional applications, such as like PHP, maybe you're using like Django, or you're using Laravel or something like that, where you have like one file that's like your view, and all that takes in is just like some data, and you render out your page using the data that's passed in. And then the controller is the thing that's kind of figuring out what data it needs to pass to the view. Okay, so the controller is what's going to be reading from the database. It's what's going to be like taking data from the request, maybe checking your cookies, doing all this other stuff. So the controller is basically the same as an express callback function. You know how in express you have like a, let me just show you. I guess I wanted to get this one. So like in Express, if you do app.get/hello, so let's say you have a hello endpoint, right? So let's go ahead and just pass that a callback function. This is your controller, and this is the thing that takes in the request object, figures out what it needs to fetch from the database and whatnot. And then it takes that data and typically it passes it to a template, which would be your view. You can use like Pug, or you can use Mustache, or whatever other template language you want. Or it could be just an HTML page that you pass in some data and it just kind of renders that. But the model is like, I don't know if I can explain this correctly. Let's see what your comment was. Yeah, I don't think I've actually like implemented this pattern because I don't do like traditional MVC. Update data model. I mean, I think like React and Vue kind of follow like MVC, where you have your actual like models. Like when you update the data, that triggers your views to update as well. And then your user would see that in the browser, and then the user clicks on a button, and that would call a controller, which modifies state, which then modifies your view. So like React, I kind of think is a good example of this. Maybe, I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm not good at explain this stuff. So let's just go back. Sorry, Akash. I'm gonna go back to building what I was doing because I think I'm doing a bad job explaining this. I think it just boils down to like just, I don't know. I can read up on it and kind of contact you in Discord if I have a better way to explain it, but oh yeah, so I was trying to get like a YouTube URL. Let's just copy like any of these. Live coding emoji panel. Let's just copy this one. This is like the last one I did. Copy link address. Go ahead and paste that in here. And run this. Let's see what it prints out. Give me a second. Maybe I can go and try to find like a MVC pattern with like Node or something. All right, so I ran this YouTube download thing, and I told it to get all the subs from this, like the subtitles from this. But it didn't really do anything. So I'm not sure if I'm like missing something. Let me go back to this. Write subtitle file. List all available subtitles for the video. Write automatic subtips. Maybe I need this one. I'm not sure where it writes this stuff when you actually run this command. I thought I would just write it to the current working directory that you're at. Oh, here it is. Let's see if this has subtitles. Oh, yikes. What is this? Okay, well, I guess all the subtitles are here. That's kind of confusing how I can actually get this stuff. Are these identical? I think so. Let's see if there's some other commands I can do. All subs, downloads all the available subtitles of the video. Let's see what list subs does. Languages of the subtitles to download, optional, separate by commas. Looks like you can do this. Hopefully English works. Let me just do EN. Then I'm gonna put write auto subs. That did like the exact same thing. So anyway, I guess I wanted to take this string, which is line 7. I don't know, there's a better way to like use regex to figure out how to get this, but somehow I need to take this file and just get this part. I'm also not sure why it like just drops off. I don't know if that's a VS Code thing. Let me open this in like Vim. Vim go to end of line. Like putting all the subtitles on one line. Okay, yeah, that's everything. I usually end my videos with happy coding. So I think what I need to do is just like figure out how to take this file and like do something with it. Let me go back to my chat. Yeah, definitely go read about it. I think you probably find someone else who can explain it better. I think it's easier than like what you think it would be. It's just like you separate your view separate from your model, and your model updates your view. I think like something like Backbone.js is a good example. That follows that pattern for the front end, I guess. I think that's a problem too. Like even this site is saying that like people disagree with like what the controller should do. So like you're gonna read one thing that's gonna say like your controller should have all the logic and your model should be simple. And then you're gonna read another blog post that says like your model should have all the logic. But it's just a way to like separate your logic into different types of like files, I guess, and then keep it easier to kind of manage. So you can easily swap out views if you need to, or easily swap out controllers. All right, so what I was trying to do is I want to take this file. So if I were to make a new file called like index.js here, I want to basically read in that file. I'm going to bring in fs. And then I'm going to say files equal fs read file sync. I'm going to rename this file because it's too large. All right, let's do this. So read in that file and then UTF-8. I'm going to do a console log. Actually, let me split this up in the line. So I'll say const lines is equal to file.split by new line. And then I'm going to console log line, I think it was 7, which would mean index 6. So I'm going to see what this will print out. All right, there we go. We have all of our text here. And what I wanted to do is also figure out what is the length of the video. I don't know if that's maybe in here somewhere. I might have to go like the very last line and like figure out what it says. .24. So this is 24 minutes long. So there's like a bunch of like empty new lines here, so I could probably like strip out or trim out anything that's like blank. But really, I want to loop backwards and try to find this very last one, so I can get the total time of the video. But there might be a better way to do this. Let's see, YouTube download get video length. Sure, there's an easy way to get some like metadata about the video. Looks like there's a get duration. Let me go back to the YouTube download package. Let me search for the keyword duration. Get duration. Let's see if this actually works. So instead of the sub stuff, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Run that and see what happens. I really just want it to print out like a time. 24:26. Okay, so that's how you do it. So that's how you get the duration. All right, so I want to kind of make this script more, make it smarter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two commands. I'm going to say the get duration of a YouTube URL. And then I'm going to go ahead and just figure out a way to call this command. And then the other one, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to call it const get subtitles of a YouTube URL. Figure out a way to call that command. But I think what I also want to do is figure out a way to write this to a file. Is there a way to say like output a file? Get file name. I mean, they have an -o, which might be how you output it, but it looks like they're passing it like MP4s and stuff, so I don't think that's what we really want. All right, options, let's see. So is there anything in here that says like output name for the file? Download options. File system options, output template, output file name template, see output template for all the info. Write video description to a description file. Write info JSON, write video metadata to an info.json file. Write video annotations. I mean, I'm assuming it's one of these things. It'd be nice if there's like a write sub file. Which is what I'm doing already, I believe. Write auto sub. Write automatically generated subtitles file. Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to tell it which file name to use. So it's like, how do we actually, do we just guess? Like you might have to know the title of the audio or title of the file. Let me run this one more time, just see what it outputs. All right, so the file it makes is that. So it has the unique video ID here, the I05 at the end, and then it has a title of it with an underscore, because that's, I'm using a hyphen there, I believe, in the video title. Well, I don't know if it's really worth going through all this effort just like figure out the words per minute of a video. I have the time here, 24:26. So let's just return 24:26, but I'm going to convert that. So I'm going to say const minutes seconds equals to this dot split on the colon. And then what I want to do is I want to basically get the total seconds, which is going to be plus minutes times 60 plus plus seconds. And that should get all the duration in seconds. I can either do the seconds divided by that. So if I just try calling this real quick, that should at least return 24 dot, I don't know, 4 something. Let's try running this and see what happens. Okay, so that works. We got a number back that says like the amount of minutes that has passed for the video. Let me make sure this is still going. I have one concurrent viewer. All right, let's see. All right, so the next thing I'm trying to do is like, what's the extension of this thing? VTT. All right, so one thing that's good to do when you're trying to learn how to code or like just code in general is list out some steps. So like I need to download the subtitle file and then in current directory find the .vvt file. I think that's what it's called. I just looked at it and I already forgot. Yeah, find the VVT file. Read line 7 of it. I don't know if this is like, this might be brittle, but that's the kind of the convention that I've seen like it works. And then return string of subtitles. So that's what we need to do here. And then over here, we have to basically run this command. And then that should be the duration here. So let's just go ahead and like say const duration is equal to this. Just so we're kind of like putting ourselves in a better position to refactor this. All right, so to be able to run this command from node, I believe I have to bring in like child process. So forget how to do that. I think it's like require process. I'll Google it, whatever. Node child process run command. I know there's like different ones. There's execute. There is like spawn and there's fork. I think what we want is execute because that'll just run the command and then like we'll get back. What version of Node am I on? Node 16. I'm assuming that they changed how it works for Node 18. So I might have to switch over to Node 18. 1830. Let me try that. Bro, I cannot type in my password right now. What's going on? There we go. All right, so while that downloads, I'm going to go back and find the exec. I think that's what I need. And let me just go ahead and undo some of those lines I had in. Hopefully this doesn't take too long to install Node, but I'm sure it will. So while it's trying to install, I mean, okay, just finished. Cool. So I want to be able to basically run this child process. By the way, I don't know why there's like syntax errors everywhere. I guess I should just like change this to TypeScript, but I feel like I'd be spending extra time. I was trying to play around with TypeScript in this project folder, but I'll do that later. So I just need to run a command here. So I think I can just do this. And to get the duration, the reason I'm starting with the duration, because it's going to be a lot easier to run, I'm just going to take this whole string, paste it in, and actually I'm just going to require this to be a YouTube ID, like this. So I'm going to change this to YouTube ID. And then when we call it, I'm going to pass it the YouTube ID. Const YouTube ID is equal to this. All right, so let's see what else needs to happen here. So this is going to call a function. We get a callback back, which means we should probably do some type of promise chaining. You know, I'm just going to do this the old-fashioned way with callbacks. Actually, no, I should probably do YouTube ID. Let me finish this real quick, and then what I'll do is, yeah, I'll put all this stuff in here. So std out, standard out, that should be the actual timestamp. So std out, that should be the duration. Then we should do our logic on it and then return it. But in order for this to kind of work down here, we need to kind of change this to a promise. So I'm gonna say return new promise, resolve, and then I'm gonna call this whole thing. And then I'm going to resolve instead of returning here so that I can actually like invoke this like a promise. And then this is going to be a promise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a self-executing async function just so that we can like use async await. I'm going to say const duration is equal to that, print it out. All right, let's see what happens if I run this. Cool, got the exact same output. So now what we've done is we implemented the real logic to run the YouTube downloader that gets the duration and does this logic and then resolves it. So we can get the duration this way. And now we need to implement this part of it, which hopefully won't be too hard. Let me report / remove this user. Hi, this user, report. I think I'm on x86. You know, I left my glasses in the room, but it's okay. Everything's a little blurry, but I'll get through this. So for this other function, I think we need to copy and paste like most of this code. And then what I want to do is I'm going to take this whole URL up to the ID, which is up to the I, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. And that'll download the file and put it here. Now the issue is I don't know what the actual file name is because I just have the YouTube ID. So we need to follow these steps. All right, so step 1, download the YouTube subtitle file. We just did that. Next step, in the current directory, find the VVT file. I don't know the best way to do this. Hopefully Copilot will tell us the best way to do this. But let's see, list all files in current directory and find the first .vvt. I know there's like a function built into Node That'll kind of like list all the files. Okay, well, Copilot doesn't seem like it wants to help me out right now. So let's just go to node list all files in directory. Read dir. S folder for each file. Okay, that's it. I know I've done this in the past. I just didn't remember what it was. Come on, computer, you can copy this. All right, so this code is becoming really unmanageable. There's a lot of problems chaining and callbacks going on, but I'll just deal with it. So I'm going to read the current directory, so // or you could just probably put a dot. And then that should give me all the files. And then I want to filter, and I only want the file that ends with .vt, or is it vvt? I don't remember at this point. So I'm going to say vvt file is equal to and instead of filter, I'm going to do a find. I just want to find the first file that ends with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to read in that file. So I can say const vvt file is equal to fs read file sync. I'm going to pass in that vvt file name and then a utf-8. Let me rename this. And then like we did before, I don't know where that code went. I guess it's here. I need to take the lines. All right, take the lines, split them up, and then I want to resolve lines of index 6. I don't know if this approach will probably fail for other files, so I'll need to test it out, but assuming I got all this code right, yeah, we don't care about any of this stuff. Like at some point you want to add error handling to make sure like stuff doesn't break, but I'm going to go ahead and call const subs is equal to a weight of that with the YouTube ID. So that'll get the subtitle string. This will get the duration. So I'm going to say const words is equal to subs.split on space. And then I'm going to say number of words is equal to words.length. And then I'm going to say const words per minute is equal to number of words divided by the duration. And that should give me the words per minute. Probably going to have some errors. Let's try it out, and then we'll debug the code. YouTube ID is not defined. Where is it not defined? YouTube ID. Forgot to pass it there. Path argument must be of type string. So what am I doing wrong? Open sync. So that's usually when you're trying to like read in something. So read adder, the path might be wrong here. Received undefined. So actually that makes me think that this is wrong. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's just print out what files is. We want to debug here. So I'm going to print out files. And yeah, let's just try this. I'm guessing files should have been like everything that's in my directory. So I should have gotten like ESLint stuff. Yeah, here we go. got everything. Oh, okay, it's VTT, not VVT. So that's the issue. VTT file. Try it again. All right, I don't know if this is accurate, but it says words per minute is 194. So that's how many. That seems really fast, but I don't know. Maybe that's like the normal talking speed for a human. Let me try a different channel now, because let's see. Let me close out some of these tabs. Yeah, so I don't know if you're still watching Akash, but you gave me that channel. It's called like Learn Web Dev. The whole reason I'm making this little words per minute calculator is because you mentioned that this guy's talking speed is pretty good. What was he called? He wasn't Learn Web Dev. I might have to go back to the message you sent me. Learn web code. This is it. So let's copy this this link address. And then let's go ahead and just use the ID that should be in the address, which is this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this one. Go ahead and rerun it. See what happens. So obviously this code doesn't work because it just printed out 2100. So let's print out what the lines are. Actually, it's over here. I have the actual like. Wow, a lot of stuff. So there might be two issues to this. So it does look like it's consistent. It looks like that index 6 should give us back what we want. Other than there's some like tokens that we don't care about. And then there's also some double spaces in this and triple spaces. So there's some more cleanup that we need to do. But overall, I think what we need to do is I'm going to rename this file so that it doesn't get it in the filter, because that was probably another thing I had to fix. All right, so we might need to run a regex over this string to remove any double spaces or something. So let's just go ahead and go do that. All right, so this has all the lines, and then we're getting, I'm going to say sub is equal to lines of 6. And then I'm going to say subs. Let me make this a let so we can kind of like override it. But what I want to do is I want to take all the subtitles and I want to replace anywhere there's a space with one or more spaces. I think this is how you do a space. This. It's always good to go to regex101.com and just play around with the regex until you understand like what you're building. I don't remember if it's /s for a space or if it's just like the actual space character. But if I do like hello double world, what is up, dog? All right, so these, if I do space followed by a plus, that'll give me all of the spaces I put a period there? Yeah, I think that's what we want. You can also do \space, I believe, and that'll also work. It might be easier to read that. So let's just change this to \space plus. So anytime there's a bunch of spaces together, I'm just going to replace them with one space. So that later on, when we split them by spaces, we don't get like false readings. So what was the YouTube ID for the other one? Let me go ahead and go back here. I'm going to rename this just so that I can get the ID, and then I'm going to delete both of these. All right, so I'm going to put that ID in there, and I'm going to rerun it to see what the words per minute is for my my talking video. And while that runs, I'm going to go ahead and go back to YouTube. I'm going to copy this link. Learn web code, not web dev. So mine's still coming out with 194, so I don't know if that's actually proper. Let's try running it again for the other one, see what happens. Oh, I need to also delete a live coding one so that it doesn't try to find and like mismatch. All right, so obviously there's something going wrong with the other video, so I think we need to just debug this a little bit and print out like what we're getting. So I'm going to console log the duration, guess we should print out the subs. Number of words. Something's going wrong here. I don't know if it's the duration's off or the subtitles are off, but my regex should be good. Take all the subs, replace every double spaces, triple spaces with a single space. But if you look at this, it looks like there's still some double spaces in it. I don't know if that's what's actually affecting it. Oh, obviously I'm resolving lines of 6 instead of the one I just fixed. So also duration says 2.2. So that doesn't seem right either because this video is like 2 hours long and 12 minutes. So I think maybe I didn't take into account hours. So I might have to do like hours times 60 plus the minutes. That's probably why it's saying it's 2,000 words per minute, because it thinks it's only 2 minutes long. Let's try it one more time, see what happens. Duration 132 minutes. That seems more accurate. We have all this text. Looks like it's all single spaced. Words per minute is 166. So learn web code talks about 166. And let's do it one more time for my videos, just to get an estimate of how fast I talk. And yeah, it'd probably be good to like slow down some of my videos and just allow my speed to match other people. I think Traversing Media also has a really low words per minute. Uh-oh. Okay, so I think the issue here is that hours is probably not. Okay, yeah, so there's an issue with like if there's 3. Okay, let me do time segments. So basically, if this thing has 3, if it has 3, else, I'm just going to assume it has 2, then the total seconds needs to be, let me do this. So right now, like I'm just kind of coding to allow it to work for really long videos and just shorter videos, like normal length videos, because I guess it doesn't return the hours for the shorter videos. So I have to like two separate paths. There's probably a cleaner way to do this, honestly, but this is the first thing that comes to mind. So let's try that again so that we don't get not a number. Duration 24 minutes. That sounds right. We got the text. The words per minute is 167. Well, it seems like my words per minute matched actually the other guys, so. Let me try one more time. I'm going to find another video that I've done, which I know I kind of talk faster in. I think in my older videos, I used to talk really fast for some reason. All right, let's see. What do we have here? Let's try this one. Copy link address. Try this one. This one's not a little bit higher, then I don't know what, I don't think my program actually does what it's supposed to do. Or there might be some stuff that we need to like figure out how to fix, but I'm pretty sure I used to speak faster. Yeah, this is 206. That makes sense. My older videos, I think I intentionally spoke faster to keep it like energetic and engaging, but honestly, I stopped caring. So I've slowed down my pace. I think it's better to have a slower pace in videos, which some of my Discord users have kind of asked me to slow down because I do talk kind of fast in some of my videos, and a lot of people aren't native English speakers, so it makes sense to slow down the words per minute so people have time to process. Also, we're talking about some complex stuff here, right? We're talking about coding, and it's good to like leave some open air so that you can actually like understand and grasp the concepts that were speaked about or talked about. But yeah, I think I got a pretty cool program here. I'll probably commit this. This is probably not the right repo to put all this stuff, to be honest. So I need to like move this to a different folder. Actually, let me run this again because there's a bug where like if you have multiple VTT files in the same folder, like you don't know which one it's going to find first. So I probably want to refactor this and just make a words per minute folder. Let me get rid of this file. We don't need this. I'm going to put the words per minute file in here. That's not it. Let me delete that one. What am I doing? All right, I'll make a new folder here called words per minute. I'm going to go ahead and move this index file into that, so that when it generates files, it doesn't put them in my like main directory here. And then I'm going to delete this words per minute folder here and delete this folder. All right, let me add this stuff. There's really no reason for this to be in this repo, but I don't know where else to put it right now, and I wanted to keep track of it because we did some good work. All right, let's go back. I've been streaming for 51 minutes. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone has any questions about anything. I don't know who's watching right now, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm done building this little project. Hey, Tina, are the girls awake yet? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just end the stream. No questions, only 3 people watching, but I think this is pretty fun to build. Like this is actually working. We can get the words per minute of. Actually, well, one last thing before I do that. It'd be cool if this ID came from the command line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna refactor this to take in this ID from the command line. So if I were to go into that words per minute folder and say node index, type in that ID, I want to make sure that this still works. Oh, it's just process argv, not process env. Let's try this, and then that should do the same logic, download the VTT file, compute the words per minute. But now it's more like a reusable script that I can kind of point any ID and not have to go and modify the code. Cool, so let's just add that real quick. Allow the words per minute script to take in an YouTube ID. Go ahead and push that. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Do you have any questions? Let me look up that MVC model view controller and see how people explain that, because the term that I've heard of and have seen so many times, it's like one of those things where it's just I can't really explain it that well because there's not really a good understanding of like, I guess I don't really have a good understanding of like what exactly it means. Like, how do you see it in a real life application? Because traditional like web applications, like your view is your UI, but then your view has its own like internal MVC. So the model directly manages the data, logic, and rules of the application. The controller accepts input and converts it to the commands for the model or view. Yeah, I think this is just basically like taking your business model and your business code and insulating it from your view. And the way you're doing that is with like a controller in the middle. So your view talks to your controller via function calls or whatever. Your controller is going to pre-process whatever data comes in from the view and get it in a situation, like make it nice enough that it can actually send it to the model. And then your model's the thing that's going to like do your entity validation, maybe talk to the database, read from the database, and make sure everything's good. And then that will update the view based on its internal state. And it's like a pyramid of updates, I guess. But it's hard to like explain this without a real example. So like MVC example node JS. I still think Backbone JS would probably be the best example of like this. Is there like a GitHub project that kind of shows this example? All right, so this thing, TV show routes. Let's see what this is doing. This has a bunch of routes which calls some controllers called TV shows. So if you look at the controllers, you have TV shows. This TV shows is basically using your models, get back some data, and then it returns that back as JSON. So I don't know if this is true MVC. Maybe it is. But then the confusing part is that there's actually MVC frameworks that exist just in the front end. So like there's an MVC that you can use for your back end. There's MVC you can use for your front end. Let's see if there's like a Backbone JS example for the front end. This one file, there's going to be multiple files. So I'm pretty sure Backbone JS is an MVC framework for the front end where you basically have models and you have your views and you have your controllers. So somewhere in here, there's a model. Right here, there's a to-do model. And this is the thing that kind of encapsulate your data, right? So a to-do list item has a title and a completed. And then you have like functions that you can call on this model. This is kind of just like an ES6 class where like you have this.title, this.completed, and you have functions that kind of modify that. But when you're using Backbone, like there's built-in functions that kind of help it. So you can say like this.save. And I believe this will actually call a backend endpoint when you try to save it. So when they do this.save, let's try to figure out where that goes. Oh, here's a view. So like down here, there's the application view. And you tell Backbone like which DOM element you need to put this stuff in. There's like an initialize function. Let's see what else it's doing. It has a bunch of other stuff that's related to the view. So this is all logic that's like related to the view. And a good example of like, let's say we can find a, let's see, add one, takes a to-do view, renders it out. Router, no, what am I looking for? So like this is like a controller, I believe. I mean, it says view, but like these have all the methods that kind of interact with your model, I believe. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. All right, I'm gonna drop off. Have a good day, all, and have a happy coding, and leave a comment if you